Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, guys, this is my review recap, child, for Zatima. Okay, episodes 7 and 8. 7 was called Minds Over Matter. 8 was called Suspicious Minds. Child, if they don't throw daggone Nate in the trash where I've been told them to put him at, Zach still continues to go to Nate and Tony and fall into this daggone trap every single time. You know he full of crap, but you still gonna sit here and hold conversations and feed into his daggone nonsense. Tony uses half of his damn brain half the time and acts like he's somewhat civilized, and we gotta have the OG step in and give Zach a little bit of advice and tell him to stop going to everybody and anybody for advice, okay? The best advice that he possibly could give Zach, that is what I've been saying all along. Now, on the other hand, girl, Fatima, you over here going to see this counselor child that Bob the Builder told you about, this therapist, and you saying that, oh, well, I'm only coming here for Zach. Zach has the issue. Zach has the problem. Zach has, this and that background and trauma with his mama. And yes, that's all true. But me and the therapist is looking at you saying, what about you, boo? She talking about oh, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just fine. I said, really, girl? The therapist said, really, girl? We will see about that. So the whole game plan that we are coming up with, this smart idea she has, is to invite him to come to the house, even though Zach don't know nothing about this therapist, and Dagon sure don't know that it's coming from Bob the Builder. We gonna invite him to dinner and pretend that he is there to be supposedly a friend of Bryce and Angela, whatever, and he's supposed to monitor Angela and Bryce and Zach at the same time, whereas he's telling her he would like to sit down with the both of them and kind of reevaluate things and see how they are as a couple. We also got Fatima mama calling and saying, well, we done did a background check on Zach, and I don't think you know everything there is to know about him, and we gonna have you here tomorrow at 7. We ain't taking no for an answer, and we gonna get all up and through here and find out what's really going on, what is the truth with this guy that you decided to make, your new boo, could possibly be soon to be husband, child. So let's go ahead and talk about it, y'all. Take it from the top. You know how we do. So of course we basically picked up right where we left off. We got Zach and Fatima still in their feelings, still in their emotions. She done ran up the steps and saw him with the little side piece thing. She actually busts out laughing, and he like, I know you ain't daggone laughing or whatever, right? And then she had to run back down and let Angela know, like, oh, no, girl, sorry, everything is okay. Of course, Angela over here talking about some, oh, no, I thought I was about to have to come over there and help you, girl. If it was the other way around, you would do the same thing for me. You know what I'm saying? I thought he had somebody up in there for a minute. What was that noise? And Fatima just says, no, that was a mistake. And she's like, that basically was the next door neighbor. She was like, what? The next door neighbor was there? She's like, no, we hearing them through the walls or whatever. She was like, oh, okay, girl. So, of course, she gets right back to asking if Bryce and her could come over, for this dinner. And Fatima's like, girl, I keep telling you that he not gonna go for that. And she's like, please. So she's like, just like, okay, yeah, girl, whatever. And they say they gonna talk later. So when she get back upstairs to the room, Zach is now sitting up or whatever. And so I'm putting his little shorts back on, okay? And he is still basically like, yo, you laughing ain't nothing funny. You won't give me none. So I had to go ahead and, stick to the side piece, okay? And she was like, well, how is it? And he basically saying it's the best cat he ever had. And she was like, well, you could get the heck up out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? What did you say? And picking up the pillow to hit him with it. So he is like, well, it's good though. Okay, it just don't squirt like you do. And she was like, I know it don't. She told him that she's basically getting ready for work. And he's like, okay, well then go ahead and get ready and get the hell up out of here. So now we see that where she actually is on her way to is the therapist. Like she's going to work, but she's stopping at the therapist first. And who you think is there but Bob the Builder, Oh, you showed up. I'm so glad to see you here. How's things going? How are you? She's saying she good. And then he's like, how's Zach? And she says he's good too. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I hope, he not laying no hands on you, because she basically apologizes again for the fact that Zach hit him, and he's talking about how he might have a bone broke in his damn face. I said, boy, if you don't get the hell up out of here, if you was had a bone broke in your face, you wouldn't be standing here talking. So he's saying how he came here to see his friend or whatever, and that he just finished up, so he'll go ahead and do the introduction between them two. So when the therapist come out, he talking about, oh, she is beautiful. Okay, you was 110% right about that. And he's like, oh yeah, I did tell him that or whatever, right? And so he basically, does the introduction with them and says he gonna leave them to when he's trying to give Fatima his number, and she gives it right back to him. I said, who the hell writing their number on papers anymore, child? Really, go ahead and stick that right back in your pocket, Bob the Builder. We don't want it. So she get inside with the therapist or whatever, and he starts to say what a good friend Bob the Builder has been to him, how he really helped him, and he, did this work on his house or whatever after his divorce. So she's like, oh, so you're divorced? And he's like, yeah. He was like, I know you probably looking funny, like how the heck am I a therapist that be counseling people or whatever, but I have a relationship that didn't last. And so she was like, yeah, my mind did kind of go to that. And he basically was saying like, well, even though his relationship didn't last, he did give it all he got. It just didn't work out. He found out that they weren't right for each other and realized that that was a bad situation. And ever since he did, he's been in a better place, and he actually has got remarried. So I'm like, wait, therapist be telling you all of this? Okay, girl, I guess. So we get back over to Zach or whatever, and he stopped by the barbershop. Now, of all the people he could go to, I guess Zach don't got that many daggone people when you really think about it. He ain't going to Nate, and he ain't going to Bryce. So he goes to the barbershop, and he's trying to talk to Tony. Now, we see this OG that basically says to him, what the heck you doing here? You looking scary. He was like, you are basically a boy in a man's body, because Zach was telling him he's a boy, and he's like, I just need to speak to Tony. So when Tony get out there, he's like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, man, have a seat. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for you, anything you need. So Zach is saying, I need you to be serious, and I need this to be just between me and you. You cannot tell Nate anything about it. He gives him the whole breakdown of what happened with Deja, the fact that when he left out with a hard on, and Fatima saw him. He like, oh man, what the hell? At first he was about to start acting silly and acting just like Nate part 2 or whatever. You know how Tony do the flipping back and forth or whatever. And he was like, see, right now you acting like Nate. This is why I don't like talking to you about nothing. So he apologizes, and he like, nah, I could be man, I could be serious, go ahead and lay it on me. And so he gives him the whole breakdown of that, and he also tells him how Fatima basically had got out the car with some random dude. And so he's like, well, did you say anything about that? And he was like, did Fatima say anything when she seen you coming out with the hard on? And he says no. He was like, not the Fatima I know. He was like, I know. She didn't yell, she didn't shout, she didn't shoot out her gun or nothing. So he was like, well, basically he tells him that means Fatima don't care no more. He was like, when they stop caring, it's basically over. Now, in a lot of situations, I would agree with that synopsis, but child, no, Zach, and I don't understand why you are going here and talking again to Tony about your relationship, and then actually thinking that he's not going to say nothing about nothing to Nate. So when he's leaving out from the barbershop, because Tony's last advice to him was basically, do what makes you happy, right? Which that wasn't necessarily bad advice. He was like, reevaluate things, sit by yourself for a minute, have a drink, have a smoke, really think things out of what this means for you in the long term. And if it's being with her, then be with her. But if it's being by yourself, then be by yourself. So as he's leaving, OG was like, first of all, you need to start watching who you getting advice for and who you going to. He was like, especially when you see a person that's single, that's not in no daggone relationship, or a person that's messed up a whole bunch of relationships. He's like, don't be like me. And so he was like, when you want wisdom, you got to go to somebody that have some wisdom. So Zach was saying like, okay, then lay some wisdom on me. And he basically was telling him like he ran through a whole bunch of good women or whatever. And he was telling him he could tell Fatima's a good woman. And he's like, you don't even know her. He was like, yeah, but I hear the conversations that you be having about her. And I also hear when Nate and them be in here talking about breaking you up and the fact that they don't like her and they don't want you with her and all of that. And so he was like, yeah, well, I could believe that or whatever. Nate really do got his issues with her and stuff like that. And he tells the OG, thank you. And he was like, were you listening? Did you understand what I said? And he was like, yeah, stop getting advice from any and everybody. Watch who I get advice from. And he's like, exactly. So when Zach is walking away from him, he over here talking about some stop smoking because OG had his little cigar out. He talking about it's a vegan cigar. I said, child, okay, we don't make vegan cigars. Like, cut it out. Not that I know of anyway. And so, Zach just leaves and he's laughing about that. So now we get Fatima basically back at the office or whatever, now she is at work or whatever, right? Because she had went, of course, and had this conversation with the therapist and some kind of way gets him to agree to actually come to the house for this dinner, even though he said that's not how he usually do it. And every time she was saying different stuff to him, he was writing it down. And she kept being like, well, what are you writing? And she was like, no, I'm not the issue and this and that. So he was like, most times when women come in and be saying, well, I'm not the issue, he is, that's an issue right there. That's something that he got to pay attention to. And she kept saying, no, but for real, it is him. I don't have anything or whatever, right? And so he said, well, how, likely is he to come in to speak to me? She's like, 0%. So he was like, well, that's kind of hard. I can't really force somebody that doesn't want to see a therapist to see me. That person has to want it. And then that's when he was saying, typically with a situation like this, he would really want to see and observe both of them. So she comes up with this whole scheme and plan for him to come along with Bryce and Angela and be able to watch them as well. And, watch and interact with Zach. I think this plan sucks. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. And in some kind of way, he says, you know what, for this particular situation, I'll do it. And he says that he's going to talk to her about how much this all is going to cost after he at least comes and sees Zach for this initial dinner. Then they could talk price. Now, Zach basically gets to work in some kind of way. Bryce has somebody here that has these properties where it's supposed to be such a great deal or whatever. This could be something that, could basically bring them, a huge investment or whatever the case may be. But they got to have up $6 million. And so he's saying she had 2.5. Bryce could put in another one, and they were saying if 2 came from Zach, then they could work with that. But Zach is telling them, first of all, I don't have no money now. He looked like he was caught off guard by the deal, altogether, like him and Bryce had never even talked about this or whatever. And it's the developer that she knows that's going bankrupt or whatever. And if they could come up with at least 30% or whatever, they could basically buy into it. And so, Zach is basically like, well, no, I can't really, put up something like that right now. And he keeps saying it. And so she's basically like, well, think about it. And he says, okay, he will think about it. And she's like, you have to be quick. So now when she leaves, Bryce is still talking about some, Zach, why are you being like this? You so thick-headed. And first, he just was like, you're so thick. And, of course, everything he says, Zach is taking it in a daggone sexual way. Then he says thick-headed. He's like, you're not making it no better. And he was like, no, I'm just saying you're actually being very stubborn. And he was like, is this a thing where we really can't work together? Whatever, is there a problem? And then Zach, of course, is saying, no, it's not a problem. So he was like, well, what if I take it to Gary? And he's like, yes, take it to anybody. Take it to Gary. Take it to whoever you want to. I just don't want to be bothered. And, of course, Bryce is all just upset about it or whatever. And then, Zach is pretty much like, can I go in my office and get to work now? Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, you could do whatever you want to do. And so, of course, Zach got head in the office. Now, not long after he get in the office and he ready to work, we got Tony and daggone Nate showing up, and he like, well, what the hell are y'all doing here? oh, we wanted to come and see your office again and all of this and that. And so he's like, well, I got work to do. I ain't got time to just sit here and talk with y'all and act like it ain't nothing else going on in the world. Some of us got real damn jobs, not like y'all that just sit around and do nothing. And so Nate busy making all these different faces, and of course he's still trying to blame Fatima for his issues, and Zach is basically telling him like, man, hang that up, okay, give it up, turn it loose. He was like, Fatima's not gonna go for the bull, and neither am I. I know that face you make when you still be wanting revenge and be trying to plot and plan. Of course, he's still pulling out the phone showing, this fake profile, okay, this catfish profile of Fatima, and he's saying it's her. He's saying that he's sending different messages back and forth to her. He gonna get to the bottom of this because he love him. He gonna look out for him, and he's gonna prove that it really is Fatima and that she's cheating. And Zach keeps saying, nah, that's not her. I'm telling you for the millionth time, that is not her. She wouldn't do nothing like that. She's not into that kind of bullshit. So whoever it is, which I believe is Belinda, he's basically messaging back and forth with them and saying that he's going to meet them in the staircase at 4:30. I said, really? So at first, Zach is all like, nah, that is not her. She wouldn't be doing nothing like that. And even Tony starts to say that doesn't even make sense because he's claiming that the person is saying they Fatima and they at work, but they having sex with somebody in the car in the parking lot right now. So Tony even starts to say that doesn't make no sense. But nonetheless, Nate says he's going to go there. He's going to catch her. He's going to prove it. And Tony was like, let me just go with him so I can make sure everything is okay. Why Zach all of a sudden changes up and was like, let me go there too, because he gets a text from Fatima at the same time that says she's going to be running late. And here he go 1 minute saying, oh, well, it got to be a coincidence. And the next minute is like, Zach, you falling for the damn okie doke too. And feeding right into it. And now you talking about, well, let me go ahead with them too or whatever. That just kind of ticked me off how, they're able to just pull him back into the foolishness and foolery, even when that is bullcrap, Zach. You still steadily keep messing up. So now we move into Suspicious Minds, okay, episode 8. And at this point, they sitting in the daggone parking lot, freaking Tony sweating like I don't know what. It looked like somebody poured a damn bucket of water over his head. And he's mad nervous or whatever. But in the meantime, Nate is still, yeah, we gonna see, we watching, whatever. So sure enough, Zach ended up jumping in the back seat. He done ran and met them there. And he's basically asking what's going on. Did they see anything yet? And they like, no. When we see Fatima, she up in the office, and here come Bob the Builder. We can't get rid of him. He back again talking about some, oh, that's the daggone warranty for the tire. I forgot to give it to you. And she's like, wait, you bought a new tire? She was like, are you serious? Like, nobody told you to do that, because she was like, they giving warranties out now for fixing a flat. So he's basically like, it was my treat. Don't worry about it. I wanted to do it. So he's like, that's the reason why you came all over. She said, that's the reason you came all the way over here. So he was like, well, maybe I just want to see you a little bit longer. Maybe you would have dinner with me. And she's like, are you inviting my man too? He's like, I already know the next thing you gonna say and this and that, you funny. He was like, anyway, I just wanted you to have the warranty. She was like, okay, so you should have this. And she basically, of course, proceeds to write him a check. And he keeps saying he not taking that. But of course, Fatima like, yeah, you gonna take this. What's your name? What's your last name? Okay. So he was like, you just don't take no for an answer, and you don't take anything from a man, do you? And she was like, yeah, pretty much. Now, of course, he want to sit here, oh, I know the type and I know what happens or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to miss the chance to get to know you, because he's claiming that he only have about another week, a week and a half. He going to be there. I say, yeah, Lord, we going to see how long that week going to drag out. So she was like, nobody said you was going to get the chance to know me in the first daggone place, whether you would have been staying here for a week or a year. So he was like, well, hear me out. I know a little bit about situations like this or whatever, as far as a relationship to her and Zach. And he was like, woman that's always doing everything, that always make the sacrifices, and for reasons unknown, the men start to do what they want. You know what I'm saying? He cheats, then she cheats, and everything falls apart and all of this stuff. And she was like, well, that's not us. So thank you, but no thank you. And also we're seeing Dr. Reed. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, I hope that he can help you. And she was like, yeah, thanks for that. that or whatever. So he was like, yeah. But she was like, anyway, thanks for the warranty. I appreciate you and the new tire. He was like, you welcome. And she told him take care. So he gonna turn around again and be like, oh, well, something with the check or whatever the case may be. Like, don't forget that she gave him, the check and want to cancel it or whatever. And so she is like, yeah, okay. It's like, we at this point, we know Bob the Builder is just trying to stay around and have reasons to want to freaking still talk to her. So we basically do see Fatima walk out, and we do see her go to the staircase, and here go this dummy Zach, Nate over here hyping him up. Oh, there she is, that is her, and she's going to the staircase. Yeah, go catch her, go read her down, go tell her about her, so you can't go out like this or whatever the case. So Zach with his dumb behind is getting out the car, and who come up behind him and see him but Angela, and she like, yo, what you doing here? She was like, Fatima already left, and there's her car, so where she at? Mind you, Nate and Tony jumping out the damn car too, and they getting ready to blow it up and, tell Angela everything if he didn't hurry up and shut them up and tell them to get up out of there. And then Fatima, of course, walks out and sees him there, and she's like, Zach, what are you doing here? So he is basically like, oh, no, I just came to see you. I was trying to check on you. She was like, no, you wasn't. Something got to be wrong. Tell me what it is. What was the real reason you came? So, of course, he takes his phone out his pocket, and he shows her the, profile. And she like, who the hell is catfishing me? Who brought this up? She was like, it have to be somebody that know me, know my schedule and all my movements, because how were they putting all this here? So she was like, wait a minute, you really came up here because you thought you was about to catch me with something? You thought you was cheating on me? He like, no, of course not. I didn't believe it for not 1 minute. So, of course, she keeps asking him where he got this from. And at first, he didn't want to say where he got it from. Then finally, he admits that it's Nate. And she was like, yeah, another reason for me not to like his ass. So she telling Zach to go ahead and lay down. And Zach like, what, you gonna give it to me here? She like, yeah, lay down. He was like, see, I knew you could get freaky. Child, she told Zach she was about to run him over with the damn car or whatever. And then he's basically like, don't get in that car. Don't close the door. I'm not moving. But, of course, he jump and move out the way. Now, mind you, Fatima had forgot to tell him about the dinner, and Angela had brought that up too. And they both pretty much was like, please, please, please. So he gives in and says, yeah. Now, once Fatima leaves, he calls Nate to find out where the heck they at, and they hiding behind the damn cars, like two cars down from where he was at. And he basically proceeds to bend the hell out of, Nate's finger and tell him the next time it's going to be broke off and shoved up his ass if he don't hurry up and take this profile down. He feels like Nate has something to do with this, and he set it up, but Nate is basically like, nah, I didn't have nothing to do with this. I just found it this morning and showed it to Tony. But he says, okay, he's going to get to the bottom of it and find out who it was and take it down for him or whatever, right? So now, they go ahead to leave. So now back at the house, Fatima and him is getting ready for this dinner, but he's saying to her, how are we worried about a damn dinner when we can't even seem to have a conversation and get past our issues? We trying to help somebody else with their damn issues, and we got issues of our own, which he's right. And she's basically like, yeah, we do, but we gonna deal with it later, whatever, right? And he was like, of course, always deflecting when it's convenient for you. Again, he does have a point. I'm just saying. So now Angela and Bryce get there, and it's real awkward. She's saying she gonna go upstairs to where, Fatima's at. And Zach is like, no, 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 you ain't gotta go up there. You can stay right down here with us. Fatima's telling her to come up or whatever. So he's like, oh boy, whatever, just go. So, of course, it's real awkward with him and Bryce. Bryce is like, are you mad at me? Are we good? Zach telling him, yeah, we good. We straight. It's no problem. Fine. So he's like, you sure? He was like, can I pour myself, something to drink? You got something to drink? Zach like, yeah, some wine there. Oh, good, it's wine. He started getting all daggone doofy and awkward and whatever, right? And so Zach was just like, yo, I left my phone in the car. I'm going to go out to the car or whatever, because, Bryce tried to give him a hug, and he was like, nah. And Bryce was like, oh, it's too soon. So Zach kept saying, nah, I'm straight. I'm straight. You hear me? I'm straight. Of course, being funny or whatever, because he kept saying like he was going to go ahead and pour him a glass of wine just in case when he got back in he wanted one. So now we going to keep having those kind of jokes, because at this point, Fatima and Angela get ready to come down, and of course she's saying she called the doctor. He said he was gonna be there in a little bit. Yeah, he was coming. And when they come down, Bryce is drinking the wine, and they saying they gonna have tequila shots. So she Angela says she thought she needed something a little harder than wine. So he gonna talk about some, yeah, I'll take something harder too. And of course, both of them look. Now Angela say, she won 2 shots. So Fatima was like, I see I'm gonna have to be watching you tonight. Now, Fatima mama go ahead and give her a call. And at this point, like I said, she's talking about some, oh, I heard about Zach. We did this background check on him. Not only have he been arrested, but he been arrested several times. And one of the times he was arrested for not paying child support. And she's like, how many kids does this man have? And Fatima says 1. And she's like, yeah, another 1 on the way. So Fatima was like, well, if you already knew all the answers, why the heck you asking me the questions? And she was like, because I'm trying to see how much you know. So she say they better be there 7 o'clock on the dot. Okay. She ain't taking no for an answer or whatever. So Fatima's just like, okay, fine. Like she don't even want to deal with that part yet, right? Now, in the meantime, Zach go outside, and who you think is out there but damn Deja. And just like we was saying before, okay, when me and just EJ was having a live, what do you think Deja trying to do now? Oh, it's going to be a lawsuit. I heard I got a lawsuit. I heard I could sue her. I heard I don't have to pay rent. So be prepared. We knew that's what was going to be coming next. So Zach is basically like, just stay away from me or whatever the case may be, right? And of course, in all this time, freaking Doc still haven't got there, okay? And Bryce in there hugging damn Zatima, telling her how cute and pretty she looking, how she always be looking good. And he said, yeah, he feeling fine, and he's so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting him to the dinner or whatever, and having him and all of that. And Angela's just looking real awkward with him, like Fatima saying, well, why you coming over here to me? Why you not over there with Bryce? And she looking like she ready to damn, scream for help. And I'm just not understanding what any of them are expecting to come out of this dinner. Why can't Angela talk to Bryce for herself? Why can't she just tell him that she don't want to be with him? How does, Fatima expect for this doctor to come over and evaluate and Zach to not find out what the heck is going to happen? We already know that that's about to be a hot mess. Why does Zach still insist on going and helping Deja out the damn car when he already know the mess that she about to freaking be doing? And she over here talking about not even paying him no damn rent and suing him like, why, y'all? So we already know what episodes 9 and 10 is going to be about this dinner. Okay, this doctor finally get in there, what he's going to perceive of the situation. And it's also going to be about Zach going to Fatima parents' house and them asking him 1,000 questions that's going to piss Zach off, because they going to want to sit here and grill him about his past and his life. We already know it's going to be a hot mess, a hot mess, a hot mess, a hot mess, and more of a hot mess, y'all. Okay, so get ready for the foolishness and foolery. But that was basically the episodes, y'all. Tell me what y'all liked, what y'all didn't like, what you think is going to be happening in this next episode, Oh, Lord, are we going to find out who it really was that put on, Fatima on this daggone site? Are we going to find out, that Bryce and freaking Angela could finally have this real conversation? Is Fatima going to finally open up and realize that she has some issues that need to be corrected right along with Zach, that they both could go for some daggone therapy, child? Inquiring minds we want to know. All right, all of these things I guess we will find out when we close out with these next 2 episodes, y'all. But put it in the comments. Let's discuss anything I left out. Let's discuss. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky, y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you are so inclined. Help your girl get to 700. Trying to work up to 1,000 is the goal. Till next time, y'all.